All right, so quick update. My PET scan is scheduled for tomorrow morning. I think it's 7 o'clock. And today is a protein only day, so no low carb, high protein. So that whatever they put in will be metabolized. The sugar and carbohydrates will be metabolized, whatever they introduce, by the cancer cells. And they'll be able to tell all the areas in my body that are cancer hotspots. And then they couldn't even get me in to get my report until next Wednesday, which was kind of frustrating for me. The scheduler was less than friendly and I guess overwhelmed with his scheduling job. And so that was a little frustrating because we're going to be at 3 weeks since this all started. And it's obviously pretty aggressive considering the scope from earlier. That was 6 weeks ago compared to 6 weeks later. Yesterday was a little interesting. I ended up talking to my neighbor who is just now growing back some of her hair from her last chemo treatment. She has metastatic breast cancer, and it just came back in her lungs, and she's in a holding pattern where the chemo and radiation just keep her tumor from not growing, but it won't alleviate it. And it was very fascinating to be able to talk to somebody who really gets it. And she was so kind, and she brought me flowers. She stopped by several times, and last week was obviously a lot of a blindside for us. So I don't think I handled it super well. I spent a lot of time sleeping, and yesterday was the first day that I was like, I can just lay around waiting for this to kill me, or I can just pretend that it's not happening for a minute, and I can go about my life and try and get my kids ready for back to school and hang out with them and do the best I can for now while I still am standing. and then our neighbor came over, and well, before that, I'll tell a quick story that Darren told me about that I was like, what is going on? Sometimes we have this really strong storm that comes through just randomly, and it only lasts for a few minutes, if that. And the wind is crazy high speeds. And a few months ago, our neighbor, that windstorm came through, and we saw our neighbor's half his tree just fell down, and legitimately half the tree. So we were like, oh no, so Darren went over there and he helped him, and then he was over at another neighbor's, and he noticed that a few neighbors down, that half her tree fell down. And then a few weeks later, another storm came through and half of our tree fell down. And Darren mentioned, he said, well, isn't that kind of weird? Like, Jim, our neighbor, was diagnosed with bladder cancer years ago. He tried immunotherapy, and it doesn't work for him, so he takes oral meds and keeps it at bay, I guess, for now. So he's had cancer. The next neighbor's house was Debbie, the one who came to visit me. She has cancer. And then our house, and now I have cancer. Just a little weird story that it's a little sad and crazy. Anyway, so I mentioned that to them, but we spent quite a few hours yesterday talking in the yard, and there's nothing like it. There's something that you don't fully understand or grasp until it happens to you, and then your life flashes before your eyes. And we talked about how people have bucket lists, and I was thinking, I've done a lot in my life. I've done a lot of my bucket lists. I don't have one, so to speak. And they said the same thing, and we just talked about how really it comes down to our faith and wanting to leave an imprint by teaching our children to love and have compassion and true empathy. And and create good relationships with people. And and that's all we can do. That's all we get to choose. Anyway, so a little update from us.